Sorry, confused Greg there a little bit.
Hey everybody, so we are doing the angel Ariel. Now, with this angel, there are some variations. Next week, we'll be doing like a slight variation that the spelling looks the same and the explanation is a little bit similar, but the energies are very different. And so here, the idea of Ariel means lion
That's Ariel.
Ariel. No, it still
Is
means,
it? Oh,
yeah,
does it? Oh.
yeah. Arael means lion. Yeah, it's a variation of Ariel. And so Ariel, which we'll be doing next week, it means lion of God. And this is a variation of this. Now, I would say the one we're doing next week has a little bit like stronger or more willful energy behind it and is a little bit more for manifestation. Um, as well as like environmental healing. This one has an impact on environmental healing, but it's a little bit more about like being guided and messages and things of this nature. So, a lot of times when we look at something that is about wisdom and intuition, part of what we're cultivating with wisdom and intuition is we're cultivating these different rhythms within us or these different kinds of intelligences within us. As light comes in and starts to interact with our body, there are these different kinds of intelligences. Remember, when we do an angelic energy, but also the soul is an energy with consciousness, right? And so within this consciousness, there's these different aspects, these different pieces that have different tasks in animating us as a human being, right? And so one of the aspects that is associated with guidance, or you could also say messaging, is this idea of how we process emotions and how we process thoughts. In the processing, it is tied to messaging. It's why we spend so much time going, okay, let's listen to the body. Let's listen to what's going on with the body so that the mind hears. Really, what we're doing is we're at first learning how to listen to the body, but then we start to listen to the emotions and we start to listen to the thoughts that arise. But eventually, as things keep getting more and more subtle, we're starting to listen to the information or the guidance coming from the soul. It's a lot more refined than the body. If we can hear the body, we can't hear the soul. If we can't hear the emotions or the thoughts, we can't hear the soul. And so this idea of this messaging intelligence is like how the soul guides us or communicates with us to help us to navigate in the world. And it takes us out of um, a way of thinking that causes us suffering, and it aligns us in a way that we kind of learn, grow, and evolve through like realization rather than getting hit over the head, right? Through cause and effect. And so, this idea of refining the idea of wisdom and refining the idea of intuition is is not to be so consumed with the primal drives of survival, right? Anytime you start to do any sort of wisdom practice, survival is good, but it's not the only thing, right? And it's like you just start spending time where you have love for your family, or you have love for your partner, or you have love for the people around you. That's starting to step away from the primal drives of survival. And then you start to have these ideas of like virtue or morals when it comes to interacting out in the outside world. And again, you're stepping away from those drives of the primal aspects of ourselves, and we're starting to really be more influenced by the soul. Even if it's just that we're setting we're setting the altar, so to speak, for more soul energy to come in. Sometimes when we're doing these things in the external world, we're going through the steps, but they're not like heartfelt. Eventually they become heartfelt. But at first, they just go like, well, this is what a good person does, and this is what a spiritual person does, and this is what a religious person does, and this is what a living person does. Um, and then over a period of time, we start to breathe life into it. It's how we learn, it's how we grow, right? And so this idea of working with Ariel is helping us to cultivate that idea of wisdom and intuition, and also that messaging intelligence within us that helps us to process our primal drives and our instincts and our emotions and our thoughts, and eventually helps us to process the guidance that comes from the soul, or from our guardian angel, or from maybe a spirit guide, whatever that might be. And so, what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes. And before we even start inhaling, we're just going to play with the name a little bit. Your awareness is on your brain, silently in your mind. Repeat, Ah, Ra, El, Ah, Ra, El. 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 Just be still with it for a moment. Now, when we look at the idea of like wisdom and intelligence, there's our inner world, right? There's who we are on the inside, but then there's how we act on the outside, right? How we interact with people at work or people at the store or people on the road when we're driving. So we have our inner environment and we have an outer environment. And the thing with Ariel is it's an angel that you could use to invoke for environmental issues. So on one level, you could look at like weather issues or weather patterns, things like this that might be going on. Ariel could be an angel that you work with if the weather needs some sort of regulation or there's storms or droughts or things like this. So an angel that you could choose would be Ariel. But I would say also it's your personal environment as well. The things at your work, the things around you, the things that impact you, the people that you have to interact with, the places that you go. Ariel also has an impact on that. And so before we even start inhaling the oils, we just have done awareness on the brain. I'm going to have you raise your hands up, roll down your outer fingers, your eyes are closed, and just visualize different environments that you're in, be it your home environment, your work environment, your neighborhood. Your awareness is still on your brain as you observe. And again, ah, ra, el. 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 And your hands are down and just be still. Now, this is what I would say about that. A lot of times when people start doing something like this, is, they have some intention of what they think should happen, or things should be in a way that, I don't know, again, what they think should happen. And it's not about getting your way. Like if you want to really kind of shut down the interactions and the influence of the angels, always go in it with like kind of a self-centered, approach the angels will stop interacting with you. I mean, bottom line. And so this is more about bringing harmony and light into the situation and in the environment. Like you're attuning things to the light, you're aligning things to the light, right? So if there's been disruptions or disharmonies, right, then it potentially is helpful for that, be it that it's the weather or the cycles of the year, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, right? Or it's your environment. Things have a cycle. We approach these things from the point of view of survival. So we want it to be what makes us comfortable. And if we're interacting with nature, we can't have that mentality. Like we have to commune with nature, we have to harmonize with nature, we have to receive messages from nature, and the same thing goes to our environment, right? So it makes us a better observer, right? And I would say that is the kind of gateway for wisdom and intuition is observation. And so when you go through and you start working with this angel Ariel, it can be quite profound. It can be really, really profound. But I think everybody here, we've been talking about this for a long time. So, there's kind of new agey people that will say like, invoke your angel for your parking spot and do this and do that, and that's not what the angels are about. There's so much more there, and the more we use the angels as a kind of guide, a kind of way of illuminating a pathway to not only ease our suffering, but maybe ease the suffering of the people around us, or the people who come after us, or whatever that might be, right? And so, each angel has like its qualities or its personality, and both this one and the one next week have a profound effect on the surroundings, your surroundings. So let's just have an experience with it now at this point. So you have your angel blend, the blend for Ariel. And let's have you go ahead and start inhaling with your awareness on the forehead. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the forehead. Now, move your awareness to your back head. Your awareness is on your back head. You're having nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now move your awareness to the sides of your head. Your awareness is on the sides of your head. Now sink into your brain. Your awareness is on your brain. Your awareness is on your brain. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now, you're coming to this little notch between your two collarbones. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now let that go for a moment. You're just letting it all go. You're letting it incubate. Now you're feeling it in your body. Like be aware of your body. Where do you feel something in your body? And wherever that is, you're observing it, you're focused on it, and begin inhaling the oil at the same time. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Okay, let that go for a second. So we're going to practice something both without an oil and then with the oil, right? So if we're looking at the idea of messaging, of receiving divine messages, guidance from the soul, from a spirit guide, from a guardian angel, we have to be able to process that information, right? So, those practices that we do, like the three brains, for those of you that have done the three brains in the past, that's part of what that's about, is being able to process the information coming in from the light or from the soul, right? You're developing that ability. You're refining it through your interaction with the physical world, but you're still refining something internally, right? Anytime that we're trying to increase our ability to process light or process messages that come from the light, the visualization of ourselves in a flame, like a big giant flame, it stimulates the movement necessary for us to be able to process things, physically, emotionally, mentally, but also the spiritual guidance that comes in, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to have a color. A lot of times when I do it, in the old days, I used to use violet, but I found that the actual use of white, like a white flame, is actually more potent. The violet does things for like thought forms and things, but as far as what we're talking about here, I would keep it white, right? So we're not going to use an oil here, but just visualize your whole body inside a flame. Hold that image of the flame. Your whole body is consumed by the flame. Not yet. You're still visualizing the flame. And then let that go. Just completely let that go. How'd that feel? Okay, we're practicing right now. So again, visualize yourself completely consumed by a white flame. You're visualizing yourself in a white flame. We're not even inhaling oils yet. You're just visualizing yourself in a white flame. And then you're just letting it go. I'm not treating you. Yeah. So you said it was quieting to the mind
Ambient, like.
in your environment. Yeah. So we're going to do the same thing again, but this time as we visualize the flame. Oh, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. We're going to visualize ourselves in the flame, but this time we're going to inhale. You have meditation. And probably, yeah. Just like mute it. So you're visualizing yourself in a flame and you're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths, inhaling the oil. And then just pause and let it go. We're going to do it one more time. Visualize yourself in a flame, a brilliant white flame, flame of light. And as your body is consumed by the flame, you're inhaling the oil. And then just be still, let it all go. Now, the thing that I would say about this angel, Ariel, is it is also an angel of protection. But, you know, when we think of protection, we just think of people projecting negativity at us, or protection is, maybe keeping us out of harm's way. It starts to be a little bit more of protection, of helping us to guide us out of the environments that are causing us harm. I mean, if you, you know, hang around people who are, say, talking smack and using cuss words all the time, it's just a matter of time before you start talking smack and using cuss words, right? We get influenced by our environment. And so this idea of environmental healing is also kind of like how we do our spiritual practice. Like I go into a quiet place and I set up an altar and I do the things that I do, my meditation or my prayer, so that I can have these deeper experiences. When we have the family over, we sit at the dinner table or we sit in the living room, and we have this like space to where we can all kind of connect, right? And so the environments influence more than we realize. And it doesn't mean that we need to exclude ourselves from doing so many things, but the more we have that internal guidance and the more resonance, like the stronger our resonance is we begin to influence our environment rather than our environment influencing and changing us, right? So a deeper level of understanding Ariel is, yes, it has an impact on the environment. Yes, it has the ability to shift or transform the environment, but it also makes us less impacted by negative environments, right? We aren't as entangled in those energetically when we have those interactions, and we can detach and shed that influence kind of quickly, right? And so working the flame like we did increases our ability to receive the messages and receive the guidance. The next step is then how it begins to impact our outer world. And how it impacts our outer world, this is a big deal. You know, we spend a lot of time trying to come up with angles of how we're going to interact with the outside world to make sure that we're safe, that make sure that we can thrive, to make sure that we have safety in our lives and that we have like some degree of protection, and all these things. We come up with these little internal like mental strategies on like how to do this. And that is actually really a little bit more of a process of the intellect, right? And even in working this idea of REL for the environment, You're not just cultivating intuition and wisdom, but you're refining the intellect to be a better, like, engager of the outside world, if that makes sense. Like you're engaging things in different ways. We're not doing it from a frightened place. We're not doing it from like a fight flight kind of place. We're not doing it from a freeze and fun place. We're trying to do it from just being courageous and taking steps out into the external world. And when things aren't good for us, we're able to step back and realize it in the moment, even though it looks okay. But there's some sort of inner sense of like, oh, this might not be good for me. I might need to step away from this. Not because my opinion, not because I see these people are doing weird things. It's just like, this is a good situation, this is a bad situation. And so let's take that a step further and think of some of the different environments or situations that you might, be exposed to. Pick one and observe it while you inhale Ariel. And then just let that go for a moment. And again, visualize yourself in a flame, completely consumed by a flame. Inhale the oil. And then pause and let go. And again, feel it in the body. Where do you feel something in the body? And wherever you feel it, begin inhaling. And then just pause. Just let it incubate for a moment. Okay. So we're going to do something to develop that flame to a much greater degree. But before we do that, we're going to do shares and questions. So you can unmute yourself, you can type in. How'd you do?
Good. I feel like I need to go. Like, still not completely angelified.
Right.
Sometimes it's just like, oh,
Boom, it hit you.
yeah. It feels good though. My eyes, I can hardly keep them open.
We got to get you angel-fied though.
Exactly. Go ahead, Lara.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Greg. That felt really good. I was kind of surprised because I didn't expect this. I yawn a lot during other classes, and I was surprised with the white flame. I just couldn't stop yawning.
Yeah.
Is that, I was surprised by that. That's normal for some
I
kind of
I
is it expelling an
it like
energy?
it's movement. Like so it could be expelling, it could be like in that phase, like you could be throwing off some dysregulation or maybe some emotion or blockages. But a lot of times what's also happening is like your instincts are being processed and your emotions are being processed. And another way of saying that is they're getting refined. They're becoming like more of an asset rather than a thing that's just like, ugh. How I talk about like sometimes with materialization is a good practice because it helps us to like identify our emotions and then use it to produce a result. Like you're harnessing this like wild horse. And then the same thing for the mind. It takes something that might be kind of chaotic and hypothetical or super repetitive, and then it goes, okay, but here's a task, like produce a result. And it's a way of harnessing those aspects and then producing a result that is for our benefit or for our growth or for helping us to thrive in the outside world. And so the more that the the emotions, the instincts, and the cognitive stuff gets refined, the more that there's going to be more movement. Because a lot of times, what happens when you do the instinct, the emotion, and the cognitive function together is it produces wisdom, it produces intuition, it produces this kind of guidance. And so, you know, it could be that you're throwing it off, but it also could be that it's like moving to like the upper centers, like which is ideal. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. This was very relaxing.
Isn't it kind of interesting? Like the thing that Samantha was saying, like when we started visualizing the flame, even without the oil, she goes, I'm not sleepy, but my mind got quiet. Like, and I don't know that it was chattery before, but it's all of a sudden it was just like there was a quiet or a calmness that washed over her. And if you think about the emotions and the thought, the chatter is repetition. That's what it is. Like the mind is repeating something. The emotions keep feeling something over and over and over again. And we are in this kind of place to where they don't shift or they don't move because emotions by their nature can be very transient. But when they get stuck in something, it's in a repetitive place. And so what you're doing is you're just generating movement all the way through all of this. And in generating that movement, it's like, okay, there's some emotion. Oh, it got processed. Oh, there's a repetitive thought. Oh, it got processed. Oh, there's an instinctive response, which is, our stress responses. And it's like, oh, it got stressed. When we stay stressed out about something, it's because we get locked into a repetitive mode. And um, like the idea of the flame is you're tapping into the messaging intelligence in our body. And the messaging can be like how we communicate with the outside world, but it also can be like how the soul communicates with us, and then also how we interact with people, which is more than just our words, right? And so it's just like all these different kinds of movement, and it's based on information kind of coming and going and then adjusting and adapting, and it's not an intellectual process. And so when we start going through and having this experience, even if it's just for a short time, all of a sudden it's like it kind of, I don't know, for me I always think it like cleans out the cobwebs. Like I don't know if you have that experience, but it's like I had some weird things in my head. They weren't bad. They were just like stuck on some weird thing 30 years ago or, whatever it is. And like it just would keep, I wasn't grinding on it, but it just keep popping up in my head. I'm like, "Ugh, really? What's that about?" Like, ugh. And, It's just that little thing is caught in a loop. So the more that we have this messaging intelligence, we are able to break out of those loops, be it that it's mental, emotional, or instinctual, which is stress.
So, does it help to have something specific that you have in mind, or could you just
You
use
could
this
just do
process?
the flame. Yeah. A lot of times, um, like when I do this, I'm not really thinking about anything. I just kind of do it. And you know how like when we do the ball of light and then we do, different versions of that, and then we release and let go, right? Like after you do whatever little practice and you go, okay, now release and let go, just be still. Part of what's happening there is those mechanisms of the flame. The flame is kind of a metaphorical like symbol for the intuition, but basically what you're doing is you're processing. And so this is just like leaning into that and going, I want this deeper. I want more of it, right? And so just practicing that is good. It will start have a cascading effect in other areas of your life. You know, sometimes, I mean, this sounds weird, but sometimes I'll look at the news. I'll look at the news, I'll watch the news, and then I'll just take a moment, I let it go, and then I'll do like a version of this. Like I'll do the ball of light and then, a couple other things, and then I do the flame, and it's just like it keeps me processing it and not getting locked or triggered or whatever.
That's a good one to hear
Yeah, it's so helpful. It is so, so helpful.
because I'm getting triggered by
Yeah. Yeah. Like try like even if you just like look at the things in the news and then let it go and then do the flame. The full practice is the ball of light and then the ball of light around the head, neck, and shoulder, and then standing on the lotus and then doing the standing in the pillar of light, you know. And then after that you let it go for I don't know, a minute or two. And then after a minute or two, you visualize yourself in the flame. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's on most tonkas. Like if you look at tonkas, if you look at like the being that's there, they're in a big ball. They're in a ball around the head and neck. They're usually on a lotus, right? There's not always a pillar there, but then there's usually some sort of like flame around them or gateway or something that symbolizes movement.
So, how long do you stay in each of those, like the ball of light? Do you do it for a couple of minutes
Yeah, a
or
couple minutes. Like, I mean, it depends on your time and it depends on, there's times where I sit and I do it for like 45 minutes, and there's times where I sit and do that whole thing in 5 minutes. Like, that's about all I got in me. You know what I mean? And
got it?
so I would say depends on the circumstance. It could be really short, it could be a really drawn out process.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
And
go
this is a good oil to use with it.
Yeah, I mean, any of the angels would work. The ball of light would work. The angel awareness would work. Things like lotus and tuberose, ginger lily, all of those would work. You know, aloes, poplar. You know, angels work really well for all of those steps, though.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
and go ahead, Donita.
Hey, hey.
Hi, Greg. Um, my gosh, that hit me like a I could feel when we were just chanting, right? The name without the oil.
Mhm.
But as soon as the oil reached my nose, it was almost like an immediate intensity, and it was just like an explosion in me, you know?
Mhm.
I don't know how to even explain it, you know? It was just like boom. It was so was good. It was good, but it was just powerful, immediate,
Yeah.
immediate, like basically I just blew up in a way. And then after that, it was like I got so heavy and sleepy and just with a flame. I don't even know what happened, I was kind of
Yeah, it's like what I said for Laura, like the movement. When there's deep movement, it can make you sleepy, it can knock you out. Yeah. You know,
mm,
it depends on kind of what you hit when you're doing the flame. If it's a lot of external things, you'll probably be more awake. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're looking at the news or you're looking at some situation in your family or, you got a thing with the neighbor and you kind of sit and you do the flame, you'll feel like quiet, but like awake. But when you're really kind of processing something like deeper or more internal, a lot of times it'll knock you out. Like you'll kind of, whoa, where was I? Ugh. Because like anytime you're getting sleepy, if you think about it, you're going deeper into the intuitive mind, which means you're going deeper into vagal tone, which means you're going deeper into, potentially like a deeper form of rest and repair, which eventually is sleep.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
unexpected. That was really unexpected. Though, faces, I could almost feel the presence of the angel. Faces, though even conversations, I don't
Yeah.
remember, but it was just like I wasn't here.
Yeah. This angel, I'm going to say this all year. This one's really interesting. This one is really interesting to me because, like, even next week is still just a slight variation of the name, and the explanation somewhat, but the energies are very different. And then remember, what was the class that we did that had the angels in it? Was it Mercury? The one for Mercury, the deeper dive, and we gave them like an extra 15 angels.
Oh, that was the Heart Thousand Petal Lotus class, wasn't it?
It was one of those. Yeah, I can't remember. I think you're right. But they're in that kit that came, it was like in July or something. There is another angel in there called Arel, and it's still a variation. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Thank
They
you.
all have, even though it's very similar, you're accessing an energy with consciousness, and to our minds, it's like, oh, that looks very similar, but energetically, they're related, maybe, but very different. Very, very different. Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of excited for next week.
Yeah.
Having that.
Yeah. I find this one's a little bit softer than the one we're doing next week. The one next week's a little bit taking care of business.
So this one is softer and it just knocked my socks off.
This one's softer because it's a little bit more about messaging and going internal, where next week is really a bit more about the outside world. Like
Okay,
it's really about the environment, like manifesting, materializing. It's a lot more about the outer world. Yeah.
perfect.
And then a couple shares, someone said, still at the yawning stage. So you might have answered it because I just want to make sure it's clear. What's the difference between the white flame and ball of pure white light? When is it best to invoke one or the other? And they said definitely lots of yawning.
So the like when you're surrounded by white light, like your whole body's surrounded by white light, part of what you're doing is you're stabilizing the form. Like you're stabilizing the form as the light and the form interact. And so the thing that I would say about that is as you visualize yourself in a ball of light, you are letting light into you. You're letting light into your mind, you're letting light into your emotions, you're letting light into your body, right? Then you have the the ball around the head, the neck, and the shoulders. And here you're, for one, increasing the connection between the incarnated soul and the higher soul. You're increasing that connection between the heart and the crown, or the heart and the brain. And then on top of that, you're not just letting light in. Now you're starting to attune to the light. You're starting to try to like harmonize with the light. The light's coming in, you started stabilizing it, and now you're harmonizing. And there's a quality with the light that comes in at that phase that is the light is protecting the soul, or the light is protecting light itself. And so it starts to diminish the negative influences that come from the environment or comes from the primal nature that might misalign the soul or dirty the soul. You're starting to harmonize things rather than the light and the form being at odds with each other, you know. And then the when you stand on the lotus, the giant lotus below the feet, part of what happens is your intentions through your life, like the things that you cultivate, all of these accumulate down below your feet. Like, whatever thoughts you've had repetitively, the strong emotions that you've had, the intentions, the agendas, whatever it is, it all anchors below your feet. The good, the bad, the ugly. It all anchors down below your feet. And the things that are negative, just like how we talk about it in the body, where it's repetitive in nature, is when light and form are mixing, there is the repetitiveness of form, but light comes in, and then there's spontaneity where there's like a growth. So instead of being a flat circle, it's like a spiral, right? There's like a high, a low, but it's moving upward, or if it's in negative, it's a downward spiral, right? And so when you're standing on the lotus, you're unwinding some of those effects of past negative thinking, past negative emotions, past scar tissue, whatever it is. You're processing that and letting go. And at that point, you're aligning with the light, which means now the will is starting to get involved, where it goes, that light thing, I want more of that. I'm going to seek this out. I'm going to bring this in my life. I'm going to cultivate this in my life in the outer world. And the internal world. Okay. So then you kind of let go of that, right? And then you do the pillar of light, right? You're standing in a pillar of light. It's going down below your feet. It's going through your whole body and up above your head. So you're standing in this pillar, especially your spine is in this light. And so with this starts to be the expansion of consciousness, the development of intelligences within the body. Because we have more than just what we learned in school. There's a lot more different kinds of intelligences within us. And this point where consciousness comes in, it like if you had to describe it, it's almost like you know how we talk about like fight, flight, and rest and repair, and you know the things from the outer world that's all about survival, and then we have our inner world. When we start to have a greater level of consciousness, we start interacting with the outside world in a very different way, right? And you could say there's a kind of safety or an environment that we start kind of cultivating so that we can have a deeper level of presence in our normal everyday life. And we start to be untouched by the primal drives and the chaos in the outer world. Like we learn to a greater degree on like how to interact with the outside world, which brings a deeper, quieter mind, a more peaceful mind, right? And then when we come to the flame, it's about messaging, like guidance, like it's our ability to communicate with the outside world, with the elements, and attract the things we need to bring things into materialization. But it's also the guidance from the soul that comes in and guides us and puts us in the right place at the right time. It would also be the manifestation of our conscience, you know, the like what is it, Jiminy Cricket and Pinocchio that's going, well, you probably shouldn't do that. You know, it's a deeper development of the conscience. So depending on what you're trying to work on, you could work each of these individually, or you could do them all as like a bundle.
Thank you. They said great description of the function or action of each, sort of light and consciousness. And they love the untouched by the outside world.
Mhm.
Um, they did share, I noticed more quiet with the ball of light than with the flame. I feel more upward movement with the flame.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, because things are moving. So the ball of light is usually very soothing. You know, if you think about the ball of light, I mean, I do the ball of light every day, and it's stabilizing. You know, even when we have deep spiritual experiences, we still have to stabilize that in the body. You know, we still have to anchor it and calm it down in the body, like stabilize it. And the ball of light is all about that.
And go ahead, Teresa.
Hey, hey.
Hi. Um, my flame when it started was like a orangey yellow with a red around the edges.
Mhm.
Um, any significance in the colors in that? And then eventually we got to white.
Yeah, it's probably just the mind's eye seeing on like a real flame. Like it kind of sounds like a real flame a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't read a lot into it.
okay.
Like in the old days, I used to just visualize myself like I would look at a candle flame or like
Mhm.
when we'd be out on the prairie or something and we'd have a little fire. I would just look at the fire and then same thing and just visualize myself in the fire. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Super.
yeah,
It's that easy.
I feel the white flame works a little bit better, but you know, if there's a candle flame, I'll still just look at the candle flame and do the same practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, actually, when it started, it was more like that. And then it ended up in white. Um, and so there we go. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Nice shares and good questions, guys. I think we're ready for the next.
So we want to kind of develop this deeper aspect of the flame. And so, a practice that we've already been doing, we haven't done it a whole lot recently, but it is the three brains, which is the sex chakra, then the Ming Men, which is the instinctual mind or the root brain, and then the front solar plexus and the back heart, which is the emotional brain or the second brain, the brain in the gut, and then the brain and the crown, which is your mind or your cognitive abilities. So the more that you work all three of these, the deeper the effect of the practice with the flame. So it kind of helps build the flame and the effects of the flame. You know, the image, it helps you to get there, but really what you're visualizing when you're visualizing the flame is movement within the body, movement within the emotions, movement within the mind. So we're going to go back and forth between working the three brains and then visualizing the flame. Okay, so you have your angel, and you're inhaling. Your awareness is on the sex chakra. Your awareness is on the sex chakra. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now, your awareness is going to your low back, the backside of your navel. The backside of your navel. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now, move your awareness to the front solar plexus, that area below your ribs on your upper abdomen. And your awareness is on the back heart. Your awareness is on the back heart. Your awareness is on the brain. And then your awareness is on top of your head. Your awareness is on the crown. You're taking some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And you're just letting go. Let go of everything, just let go. Now, visualize yourself in a flame. And as you visualize yourself in a flame, begin inhaling the oil. And then pause and let go. How did that feel compared to the first time? Okay, again, visualize yourself in a flame, completely consumed by a flame. You're inhaling the oil as you're consumed by the flame. And then pause and let go. Here we're going to cycle through the three brains again, just one more time. So you're going to use the same oil, the angel oil. You're inhaling, your awareness is on the sex chakra where the sex organs are. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the low back, the back side of the navel. Your front solar plexus, that area below your ribs, on your upper abdomen. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Move your awareness to the back heart, that area between the shoulder blades. Your awareness is on your brain. Your awareness is on top of your head, the ground. Then just let go. Just be still for a moment. You're visualizing yourself in a flame. And visualize yourself in the flame. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with the oil. And then just let go. Okay, we're going to do one more thing, but before we do that, let's share or ask questions. You can unmute yourself, type in. How was that for you, by the way?
Oh gosh, that last bit. I mean, I could have
Gone away. Yeah. Yeah, it keeps getting deeper and deeper. The more you work the three brain, the more it develops your ability to like visualize the flame and the effects of the flame.
feel like my heart's bigger.
Mm-hmm.
My brain feels like way energized.
Mm-hmm.
Very nuts. Getting angelified now.
Feeling angelified.
Mm-hmm. Someone said bye bye me.
Mm.
I mean, I just felt like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
the difference between that with the three brains and just the flame.
Yeah. I mean, we started working the three brains. What was that, like 2 years ago, maybe? And you know, it is about processing the instinctual mind, processing the emotional mind, and processing the mental mind. And when those three are in relatively alignment, that's what produces intuition. You know, intuition isn't something separate. It's like a harmony between all three of those. And so, you know, this is starting to be a deeper dive of that thing that we started a few years ago. Like it's not separate. It's just, especially now that we're working with the angels, we're able to take it much deeper, much quicker, and like in a way softer,
Hmm.
you know. Yeah.
I think let's keep it
Okay.
going.
So, you know, we did it with the oil. We're going to do this with the oil, but we're also going to do it with the name. So we're going to go back and forth between the name and then visualizing the flame, and then the name and visualizing the flame. Okay. So again, just close your eyes. And if you want to put your awareness on an area in your body that needs healing or it could use some help. You could put your awareness on that area of your body. Also, could be on the environment, some environment that you're in where it's like, I wish that was a little better. And then silently in your mind, just repeat, Ah, Ra, El. Ah, Ra, El. Ah, Ra, El. Ah, Ra, El. Just let go. Let go of everything. Just let go. You're visualizing yourself in a flame. And just let it all go. Hold your awareness somewhere in your body. Silently repeat, Ah, Ra, El. Ah, Ra, El. Arael. Visualize yourself in a flame. You're just being still. Let go of everything, just be still. Visualize yourself in the flame one more time. And as you visualize yourself in the flame, begin inhaling the oil. Then just pause and be still. Just being still. Just being still. I think Samantha came up with a new term tonight, being angelified, right? And so, we did an exploration with this angel doing that process. You could do it with other angels, but especially for this angel, that idea of visualizing yourself in a flame, just because of the messaging and guidance component, uh, can be very nice. So next week we're doing Ariel with an I instead of an A, and a variation. Some would say a variation of the same angel. They're two different energies completely. And so, even though the name is real close and the explanation is really close energetically, yeah, very different. And so, we'll play with that next week. So, hopefully, you can join us next week. And we have a deeper dive into, I think we're doing etheric chords tomorrow night. We're going to do a different aspect of etheric chords. And, for those that did the 1 day thing, we're still going to go a little deeper. And this weekend is the vagal tone for chakra healing. So hopefully you can join us for that. A straightforward way just to apply vagal tone and diminishing dysregulation to healing all kinds of stuff. So